Hello. This is Deathbringer Draws again, back with another Wings of Fire: The Art of War video. Another little breakdown for those who haven't seen it yet. This series, Wings of Fire: The Art of War, is a complete breakdown of pretty much anything you can think of for Wings of Fire battles, warfare, and the like. This will include a very wide variety of topics, including the one today, which is flying, and just generally how flying seems to work in Wings of Fire from what I've gathered. This will be probably a part 1 of part 2 to 3 video, so currently this is just a very light analyzation of a few factors that I found from the very beginning. Another little recap, Wings of Fire: The Art of War is also completely canon. None of this is going to be theorized. If it is, I will openly announce it at that moment. I will say, okay, this part may be a little bit theorized, but generally it is not going to be a what-if series. This is going to be complete fact. At least as far as Wings of Fire is concerned. So, for today's flying video, the first thing that I would like to say is, well, how do dragons fly? Because that's a pretty important thing to look at. First off, we know that their bones are not hollow. This has been, at least we think that their bones are not hollow. We have substantial evidence to presume that they are solid bones. It could still technically be possible, but we do not know. So currently we're going to assume, and again, this is one of the parts where I'm assuming something because it seems like it's true. We're going to assume that the bones are solid, or at least semi-solid. That means that they're pretty heavy. Besides that, dragons have a pretty wiry frame, so save for the mudwings, of course. So that will aid them in flying pretty substantially. They're not thickly built dragons. They're not compact. Well, they are compact, but they're wiry, if that makes sense. They are long, they are skinny, they're aerodynamic. First thing I want to start off saying is, well, the wing size is much larger than people think. The wings would be absolutely enormous. People never seem to get that, but the wings would be huge. Besides that, of course, their bodies are fairly aerodynamic, seeing as, again, their shape helps a lot. Almost kind of like a snake's. Mostly they would use their tail as a counterweight for the head and the rest of the torso as they're flying. The wings could be used to help them in standing up as well. When they're standing up on their back legs, they could extend the wings backwards as a counterweight along with their tail. Their neck could as well curve backwards to help that. That could also help them possibly while they're in air. Note, while they are flying, a lot of the time, just like birds do, they tuck in their legs to the sides of their tail, and they tuck in their front. Birds don't have these, but they tuck in their, front arms into their sides and kind of like a cat if it's on its back. Sometimes, not always. How do I describe it? They just kind of tuck them into their sides. You can see it on several of the covers of the Wings of Fire books. It's quite easy to find, but besides that, we're also going to be looking into backwards flying, because the thing is that that's an interesting topic. A lot of the Wings of Fire games examples, mostly the Wings of Fire Roblox game, have the flying backwards as not an option, which makes sense judging by what I've kind of found. And here is an okay example of what I was talking about, where the arms are kind of tucked in. Imagine that, basically, but the arms are fully tucked in. Besides that, there's also this image right here, which is one of Tsunami, and you can see that her legs are tucked into her sides very strongly. That's what they would also look like while flying. But anyways, point is, that's kind of what dragon flying, what they would do with their limbs. But anyways, going back to the backwards. They can theoretically go backwards, but not really. They would have to lean backwards and power their wings in a strong surge to actually go backwards, and that'd take a lot of energy, presumably, and would also just be slow, because then they'd have to get their wings ready again, and they'd have to do it again. It'd be a bit like dodging backwards in a game like Dark Souls, where you can do it, but it's a bit slow, and it's not continuous. It's a very fast action. However, we do know that a continuous backwards movement of the wings will keep them in the air firmly. It'll make them hover. We know this because Wikipedia articles, well, not Wikipedia, but, you know, different kind of sites that are devoted to Wings of Fire and the Wings of Fire books themselves have actually said this, that if the dragon uses their wings to they go backwards, it just makes them hover, it just doesn't make them go in any direction, and it just doesn't make them go backwards. That's the point. So yes, they can go backwards, but not very strongly. And we know this a lot. It's very strongly suggested, and it's almost certainly true, because it just makes sense on an anatomical level. What? How do you say that? It's like anatomical. I think that's right. And it also just makes sense for the books and the graphic novels, because you always see the dragons turn towards wherever they want to go. If they want to get out of there, they jump backwards into the air, they begin flying, they might go backwards stiffly, but then they turn around and they fly away in mostly one motion. So that's what I mean by they can go backwards. They can jump up, they can go backwards, and they can turn and fly away. That's generally how they do it. Besides that, we're actually also going to look at how dragons would take off, because I have been interested in this. And from what I can tell, there were originally 3 options, which was either they take a running start and they lift off, they can do a stationary lift off, or they jump up into the air and then lift off. As most of you have probably guessed, they can technically do all 3 of these, which is good, because a jump and then if they jump into the air and then they start flying, that is extremely useful for rough terrain and trees, and just in general, they can take off a lot faster than you think. And I mainly get this from actually the prologue to this book that's on screen right now, The Lost Heir. It's book 2. And it was in the prologue, Webbs, when he's trying to escape the Talons, slight spoilers here, he has to escape the Talons of Peace, and he jumps up, he leaps, possibly backwards actually, and he spreads his wings and he takes off. And that shows they can also spread their wings extremely fast, or at least they can get themselves ready to fly extremely fast. Now, about this, flying into combat is a different way of flying, because presumably your arms would be up holding a spear of some sort, so you'd be a bit less aerodynamic, maybe not as fast. You could still fly fast, though. We know that. The Skywings, when they're raiding the Summer Palace, they go fast. Same with the different Skywing patrols and other various guards and stuff. They fly fast, even while holding spears and wearing armor. So it really doesn't impact them that much, and that's a good thing to know. But anyways, that's kind of just a little thing on flying for now. But like these wings in the book cover, these are way too small. There is no way you'd be able to lift off the ground with those, let alone fly. But at least presumably. We don't know if their bones are hollow. If they are, then the wing sizes could be significantly smaller. But I guess we'll just have to wait for Tui to say that yes or no, the bones are hollow. Or maybe again, they're semi-hollow. Air pockets are a thing. So, well, I guess that's the end of the video. This has been a little kind of light dive into flying and the art of fly. So, well, bye. This is Deathbringer Draws, out.